Hero was a bum who became an orphan after a dragon barbecued his parents. Seeking revenge, he teamed up with a hot dragon slayer who was obsessed with him and clapped her to get strong enough to face the dragon. 10 years ago, a legendary dragon called Zot was wreaking havoc in the Three Kingdoms, so a group of mages, led by Hero's father, Barrow, gathered at Baldago to seal it, but their plans failed and the dragon unalived everyone. In his last moments, Barrow cast a spell that swapped Hero's heart with the dragon's, hoping that it would save Hero's life. Years later, Hero sets out on a journey of revenge, and he makes a quick stop at a city called Linsakis. Here, he sees the townsfolk celebrating a wealthy businessman named Namboo, who has just arrived in town looking for a legendary relic called the Grand Troa. While Namboo negotiates with the Lord, Hero befriends a bunch of young burglars and learns that one of their friends is about to be executed for trying to steal the Grand Troa. Sheru, the girl who caught the thief, showcases the boy to everyone as she prepares for his execution. To their surprise, Hero pulls up and orders her to let the thief go, but Sheru orders her men to seize him. At first, Hero manages to avoid getting hit, but when he lunges through the men and unsheathes his short sword, he finds himself surrounded from all sides. Realizing his situation, he tries talking his way out of it, but Sheru orders the men to deal with him. Luckily for him, his friends Sheru and Palupa show up, and with the army distracted, Tamit, the gang leader, rescues his friend. Annoyed, Sheru takes out the Grand Troa, but as soon as Hero sees the relic, he yells that it belongs to his dad. Curious, Namboo silently observes Hero, while Sheru uses the relic's power to fire an attack at Hero's side. But to everyone's surprise, something protects them. That's when a creature starts emerging from the shadows, and everyone's shocked when they see that it's the feared dragon Zot. Seeing his nemesis that unalived his parents, Hero gets enraged and recklessly tries to attack it, but the monster puts a lid on his efforts and knocks him unconscious. The soldiers immediately shoot at the dragon, but it repels the arrows and shocks everyone by protecting Hero. Right after Zod wreaks havoc, he vanishes into the ground and dips in a shadowy form. Later, when Hero wakes up at an inn, he notes that he'll need the Grand Troa's power to take Zot down. He then asks Tamit about Namboo's whereabouts, but since the dude doesn't know, he sets out to get any leads that will help him find the crystal. At some point they try to get food at diners, but the shop owners shoo them away for opposing Namboo. Eventually, they run into Aaron, a Nekamimi who takes them to a place where they can stuff their tummies. While they eat, Aaron asks if Zot showed up because of Hero, and it makes them realize that she might know something, so she dips and leaves, forcing them to cover her food bill. As a result, they use all their savings on the meal and are left stranded. Left with no other choice, Hero takes them back to the hideout, where Tamit reluctantly lets them stay. Later, Tamit asks Hero for his next plan, and he announces that he'll go after Namboo to retrieve the Grand Troa all by himself. Hero tells him he's too weak to face off against roadside monsters, so Hero's party heads out to train. Here, Hero talks big about a group of slimes before him, but he gets humbled time and time again. Realizing how hopeless Hero is, Hero goes to hunt monsters to trade for cash, leaving Palupa alone with Hero. After missing his hits more than you losers miss your cheating ex.
Emotional, damn it!
Hero complains about wanting to fight a stronger opponent. Suddenly, a dragon emerges from the sand, so Hero charges at it to deliver a death blow, but he gets thrown back easily. The monster then opens its mouth, and a blue-haired girl comes out of it. She thanks the dragon like it's a taxi, and the dragon retreats into the sand. The girl then latches onto Hero, hungry for his sausage, and like Willy Wonka, she tells him to come with her. Hero is stunned by the strange girl sizing him up, and Palupa tells him to be wary of her because she looks like the girls on TV his mom warned him about. Hero asks her where he wants her to go, and like a popular line in one of Adele's singles, she said she'll go wherever he goes. He asks her who she is, and she introduces herself as Serato. Serato looks into his eyes and asks Hero questions that almost make him suffer from an identity crisis. Thankfully, Guru shows up and interferes, asking Hero who she is. After being briefed by Palupa, Guru wonders if he should take a swing at her, but Hero stops him, and they watch as she acts like she's on the highest scale of autism. Silently, they creep out of her sight and return to the hideout before Hero gets her pregnant. Later that noon, Hero can't get Serato's image out of his head. Seeing how satisfied he is, Tamit snatches Hero's food and teases him for being so down badly that he can't think straight. He then advises Hero to keep his head straight and let Serato be. Meanwhile, Sheru shows the townsfolk a drawing of Hero, asking if they've seen him. Since she has zero progress in finding him, she uses her Temu magic mirror. Meanwhile, Serato walks past her and goes deeper into the town. Namboo, on the other hand, instructs one of his allies to start a rumor about Zot's revival, so that the people will look for ways to protect themselves. Next, he contacts another underling, asking for an increase in the production of magic stone and monitoring of weapons and armor's price increase. Lastly, he contacts Dr. Bafalapa, informing him of an impending war whereby all the kings of the 3 countries will struggle to get the most weapons. He asks the doctor to develop a new product so powerful that the countries will want it. After the call, the doctor wonders where Serato is and if she's okay. Later that night, Sheru and the rest of the team are surprised to see Serato at their hideout. She tells Sheru that she was able to find him thanks to her sausage indicator going off.
What do you mean by that?
Happy that she's attracted to his saber, Sheru chooses to let her stay. Timit doesn't even bother, and they watch him drag Serato into the chamber to get his pickle tickled. The next day, Palupa whines after being paid scraps for the monster Sheru had brought, so Sheru tells him he'll go hunting for more. Concerned, he asks about Sheru's whereabouts, and Palupa tells him he's out with Serato. Meanwhile, Sheru tries to show off in front of Serato, but he gets folded by level 0 slimes. She asks him if he won or lost, and seeing that she's more clueless than Barbie in the real world, he takes a break and whines about how he wishes he could fight Zot right away. Suddenly, a wolf monster appears, so Sheru tries to recover his already plummeting aura points, but the wolf buries them even further. He then sees it growling at Serato, who had for no reason stopped responding while standing, so he runs at it to land a hit, and he gets shocked when he realizes that the wolf is already dead because he didn't do much to defeat it. But when he rushes over to meet Serato, he doesn't notice the shade of her eye change before they revert to normal. Since he's injured, she treats his wound before they head back to town, where Sheru trades the dead wolf for a gold coin. On his way to their hideout, he sees a boy whose dad has been selected to work in the mines. Watching as the youngster cries, Sheru, who clearly cannot do without sticking his nose in others' business, decides to intervene. He acts all cool and smug, stopping the guards from going with the man, but the guards knock him out and drag him off like trash. Held hostage at the town lord's manor, Sheru whines about the guards who took the first money he ever earned. Sheru then tries to assure the prisoners that he can get them out, but when they see the fake crest on his hand, their mood worsens. Meanwhile, as Sheru struggles for a better reception on her magic mirror, one of her guards informs her that Sheru is being held up in the lord's manor, so she quickly heads there. As for Timit, he takes a hidden passage and navigates through the town lord's manor, while Sheru tries using the crest to make a hole in the prison walls. Timit successfully steals the town lord's ledger, and having read the contents, he discovers the lord is stealing from the king, so he tries using it as leverage to get Sheru and the mine workers free. Suddenly, the local lord's guards show up, pulling an Uno reverse on Timit, but Sheru shows up. The guards try to attack him, but having witnessed how he split the table perfectly like a sashimi, they make a decision that'll spare them their limbs. In a few minutes, they free the men, and rather than Sheru being grateful, he tells them that he would have made a hole through the wall if he had more time. He then turns to his hottie and confirms her saber radar is functioning. Later that night, as they watch the prisoners reunite with their families, Sheru recalls the happy moments he had with his family, so he steals his resolve to take down Zot. Back in their hideout, Timit watches them and sees the whole group as his family. Meanwhile, Eren silently observes them. At the healing spring, Sheru takes a dip and unwinds. Meanwhile, Sheru cooks a monster dish from the spoils of his hunt. While the others savor the dish, Sheru complains, so Palupa scolds him for being an ingrate. Sheru then tells him that he'll be overseeing his training alone. Sheru tries to vouch for Serato, but Sheru refuses to let her accompany him. On their way to the training ground, Serato follows them, but Sheru hands her a gold coin and tells her to get whatever she wants with it. Left alone, Eren calls out to her and offers to take her somewhere good. Arriving at the training grounds, Sheru complains when he sees Sheru wants him to fight the slimes again. As usual, the slime has him eat dirt, so he gets mad at Sheru and requests that Sheru leave, but Sheru stubbornly refuses. Eren takes Serato to the healing springs and finds it difficult to converse with the oddball. She tells Serato to try out the healing spring, and the clueless girl casually walks in without taking off her plot armor. She sees Sheru there and concludes they should steer clear of her. Coincidentally, Palupa and Timit head for the hot springs after learning of an octopus monster with a huge bounty. On their way, Timit sees Sheru arguing with Sheru because Sheru refuses to let him go and hunt for Zot. Sheru believes that they can make money on the way, and he can get stronger while fighting the monsters he comes across. Sheru, on the other hand, gets candid with him by calling Sheru pathetic and reminding him that even 100 mages acting in concert couldn't defeat Zot. Sheru admits that Sheru will need another power, but he hammers at him, saying he has no right to challenge Zot if he cannot master the basics. Offended, Hiro charges at him, but Sheru swats him away like an annoying ad. He then reads Hiro like an open book, who thinks he'll be able to take down Zot with the Grand Troa. Determined, Hiro charges at Sheru and aims at his throat. Instinctively, Sheru slashes him. Upon seeing this, Tomit and Palupa rush and scold Sheru for making such a mistake. Sheru then tells them he'll take Hiro to the healing springs, which is where they are also headed. At the springs, Eren tries to source info from Serato, but the dunce nearly mentions Hiro in every sentence she makes. Sheru, who happened to be listening in on them, approaches and tells them of the monster rumored to be lurking in the hot spring. Meanwhile, Sheru's guards stationed outside the springs lie in wait for Hiro's party, believing the false bounty poster will lure them. As expected, they see the party heading to the springs, so the soldiers quickly prepare for their roles. On getting to the spring, Hiro's wound heals in the water, and Sheru and Eren realize his party is around. Sheru then opens up to them that she's looking for Hiro. Like an elementary student, Serato announces that she knows him, but Eren quickly plunges her into the water. As the soldiers take their positions while waiting for Sheru's signal, Hiro wakes up and converses with the team. Sheru tells him that they need to make money so they can leave for Namboo, and on the way, he can fight monsters and get stronger. Sheru picks up Hiro's voice, so her men stir up the monster beneath the springs. Sheru then orders it to capture the men, but it grabs Serato. Seeing the trouble, Eren makes a run for it while Sheru yells at the monster to do its job. Tired of her bickering, it grabs Sheru and tosses her away. Realizing Serato is being held captive by the monster, Hiro brainstorms, but Sheru leaps at the creature and cuts off its tentacles. He then vents his aggression on the giant creature, slicing and dicing it like it's sashimi. Right after, Hiro looks for Serato and sees her not too far, so he picks her up. In the process, she gives him a free house service, helping him cool his sausage. The party returns to the town, and Hiro stares at a cool armor, wishing he could get it. Palupa then explains that although the bounty was fake, they managed to sell the tentacles for a fortune. Seeing that they have cash, Hiro pesters Palupa like a youngster for the armor, but the miserly lizard rejects the idea. As Hiro and his crew leave the hideout, the orphans sulk because they won't get to enjoy Sheru's delicacies again. The next morning, as the boys see Hiro and his crew off, Tomit shows up, determined to follow them on their quests. Worried, the orphans try to discourage him, but he assures them he'll be back after he uses the Grand Troa to change the world. The boys bawl their eyes out, but determined, Tomit follows Hiro. Right after leaving the town, they see Eren, who tells Hiro that Sheru had tried to lure him out to catch him at the spring. Surprised, Hiro realizes that Namboo is after them. Eren then offers to go with them, but Palupa refuses, since his wallet still suffers from the pain of being scammed. Eren then shows them a map that'll lead to where Namboo is and orders them to have her accompany them. Without second thoughts, Hiro agrees, and she joins the party, leading them to where she claims Namboo is. During their journey, they see a poster warning them about killer bears, but Hiro brushes it off, assuring and reminding them that Zot is the only thing they should be worried about. They watch him get too excited and wonder who made him the boss. As he tries to hurry them, he trips and falls into a sand trap, crashing every Sigma aura left in his body. The party then continues their journey, unknown to them that Namboo, who has their aerial coverage, observes them in his lair. Seeing that Sheru had failed to bring Hiro to him, he asks that she return to his lair. Like a forex investor, Namboo monitors the market of the magic stones and is impressed with the price hike. As the party journeys, Tomit is impressed by everything he sees. Due to not touching grass since he was born, Hiro teases him, acting like an experienced big brother. On getting to the forest, while trying to set up a camp, a monstrous bird charges at them. Hiro, trying to claim the spotlight, dashes at it to land a finisher, but he gets tossed aside like a used tissue. Sheru lands a follow-up, saving Hiro from being picked up like a rabbit. After the help, the ingrate curses due to being saved again. Sheru then tells the others that they'll camp in the forest. Spooked, Eren asks if it's okay since they are going into the bird's territory, but Sheru assures them that the thick forest would prevent the bird from swooping in on them. After the breakdown, like a Nat Geo wild analyst, Hiro leads the way while promising them that he'll protect them from danger. Later in the forest while camping, Palupa educates Tomit on how to preserve food for future purposes. They watch as Hiro acts all smug like he owns the place, so they accept that he's a fraud with higher potentials than a popular Shikigami user. As they prepare to eat dinner, Sheru notes that Serato, who he has sent to get water, isn't back, so Hiro goes looking for her. On the way, he runs into Eren playing harp on the tree, and she directs him to Serato, Before leaving, he asks her why she chose to embark on their journey, and she tells him she wants to help him get the Grand Troa. Seeing through her lies, he reminds her that the relic belonged to his father, so he makes a hypothetical situation, asking what she'd do with the relic if she got her hands on it. Eren then tells Hiro that she'll use it to make the hottest boy in the world, just like him. After hearing enough of Eren's bullcrap, Hiro leaves to find Serato. There, he sees her crouching next to the stream, so he calls out to her. The next day, Namboo continues his weapon sales to the country folks coming his way. While at it, Namboo learns of Sheru's arrival, so the first thing he does when he sees her is call her an incompetent loser. He then shows her the bird, which he uses to monitor Hiro's crew, and hands over the controls to her with the condition that she leave his sight if she fails to use it to capture Hiro. Immediately, she and her soldiers appear right before the party in the wilderness. Sheru then summons 3 humongous golems in the bid to capture Hiro. Right then, Sheru prepares to attack, but Hiro informs them that he'll capture Sheru and have her take them to Namboo. With that, he dashes straight for Sheru, ignoring his teammates' advice. Determined, Sheru runs to him and zaps him with enough current needed to light up a city. As expected, Hiro falls like an oversized princess. Left with no choice, Sheru orders the others to follow him, and as they run right behind him, Tamit notices that Eren is no longer with them. Sheru then takes out the nearby soldiers, and as he draws closer to Hiro, one of the golems obstructs him. Annoyed, he leaps at it like the Hulk and takes it down in one stroke. Meanwhile, Hiro tries to take on Sheru, but she shoots multiple crystals at him, which eventually break his short sword. She points her umbrella at him and promises to make him feel the brunt of the frustration he's caused her so far. Meanwhile, the other weaklings in the team worry about how to escape their current situation, so Paloopa decides to help. He mans up and uses his limited Yu-Gi-Oh card to summon a treasure box, from which a strange girl, Miumu, leaps out. She asks him what kind of weapon he wants, but he tells her they are getting into the box. Quickly, he throws Serato in. Worried, Tamit asks about Hiro and Sheru, but Paloopa tells him that things can work out as long as they survive. With that, he leaps into the treasure box with the boy, and the item magically disappears. On the other side of the battlefield, Sheru has Hiro surrounded with her soldiers, and she tells him that even though she's been tasked with capturing him, it wasn't specified for her to bring him in one piece. She then tries to attack him, but Sheru rushes towards them. Annoyed, she sends a powerful attack his way, binding him and electrocuting the swordsman at the same time. The attack splits the earth and raises a part of its topography. Hiro yells at her to stop it, but she asks him if he'll let them catch him after watching Sheru die, or if he'll watch Sheru die after he lets them catch him. That's when it dawns on Hiro that she plans to end Sheru. Sheru then pokes Hiro's arm with her umbrella as she laughs like a sadist, saying she wants to have fun with him while he's with her. She then assures him that things will get a lot worse for him once he gets to Namboo's lair. Suddenly, Hiro smacks her umbrella away, and he grows fangs and claws as if partially transforming into a dragon. She quickly orders her men at Hiro, but the lad rips through the men like a wet tissue. Horrified, Sheru immediately activates her teleportation circle, and she watches Hiro charging at her ragefully. Unfortunately, he returns to his senses, and it buys her enough time to make her escape. Right after, his actions replay in his mind, and after a while, he finds himself in a different location. Hiro wakes up to aching bones and wonders where he is. He then sees a group of carts moving through the wilderness, so he hides. When they get close enough, he spots Namboo, so he tries to get up, but his body doesn't respond like he wants it to. Suddenly, the earlier events flash across his mind, and he still decides to keep moving forward. After the fight, Paloopa, Serato, and Tamit are spawned back to the wilderness. There, they see Sheru passed out. Worried, they rush to him, and Serato uses her magic to wake him up. Like a worried hen looking for its chick, she asks for Hiro's whereabouts, so Sheru joins them to look for him. While searching, they discover the fallen bodies Hiro had taken out earlier. Hiro, on the other hand, follows Namboo's cart and sees him discussing with an important woman, a leader of one of the 3 countries. She asks him to proceed with the demonstration he has for her. Not too far away, a chained orc and 3 slaves are positioned right below a cliff. On top of the cliff, Bafalapa receives a signal from Namboo, so he activates a machine, which fires a magical beam of light at the orc and the slaves. Upon contact, the slaves fuse with the orcs, and the end product is a hideous monster that looks cuter than your girlfriend's. Damn! Terrified, the woman watches in fear as the creature charges at them, but Namboo's men take it down. Namboo then promises to make a much stronger army of monsters that'll terrify her neighboring countries. Impressed, she agrees, but to their surprise, Sheru shows up and confronts Namboo about how he just made human lives seem worthless. Namboo tells him it's none of his business, so Sheru asks him to repeat what he said after having a taste of his sword. As he reaches for his sword, he suddenly remembers he lost it and it broke during his battle with Sheru earlier. Not relenting, Sheru decides to take the fight the old-fashioned way, so he dashes at Namboo and hurls his fist at him. But the latter easily evades him. Sheru tries again, but Namboo whops him with his sheathed blade before telling him he was looking for him. Curious, Namboo asks Sheru if he has something to do with Zot's revival, but Sheru tells him to give him back the Grand Troa. Namboo insists the relic belongs to him, but Sheru adamantly resists. As a result, Namboo has his men restrict the dude and then tells him he'll attend one of his parties. Meanwhile, Sheru's squad wonders how Sheru had taken down the men since they all know he can't fight. They wonder if he used magic, but Paloopa rules out the possibility. Suddenly, they see Eren with them and call her a deserter. She corrects their notion with an excuse, saying she knows when it's time to leave. Sheru then follows Sheru's footprints, and the rest of them do likewise. In the evening, Namboo entertains the queen of one of the three countries, noting that he simply needs her for her money to further his research. When he gets outside, he sees Sheru, who apologizes for failing to capture Sheru. She then explains how scary Sheru was, but to her surprise, Namboo thanks her for weakening him and then pays her some money. This makes her happy, so she tells him she loves him and her life belongs to him. Not too far away, Sheru's squad examines the hideous monster's corpse and wonders if Sheru was the one who ended it. After a thorough examination, Sheru concludes that it was Namboo's doing, and Sheru has been caught. Meanwhile, Namboo goes to where he tied Sheru up and shows him the tools he plans to use to get information out of the boy. He asks Sheru about his relationship with Zot, and Sheru wonders what business a merchant like him has with the dragon. Namboo then reveals that he needs the chaos the dragon will bring because it'll mean more money for him. With that, Namboo uses the knife on Sheru, causing him to scream loudly, or so we thought. The coward of Namek wails so loudly before the blade touches his skin. The noise attracts the queen, and she makes a scene while trying to know what's going on. For this reason, Namboo leaves Sheru to attend to her. While at it, Sheru loosens the rope on his lei and successfully retrieves his crest stuck in his boot. He then tries to get it to cut the ropes binding his hand. Meanwhile, the mad scientist's Sarada radar goes off, so he uses one of his tools to find her. Fortunately, the device leads him to where Sheru is held captive. Confused, he asks Sheru why he has Sarato's scent, but the boy stutters like crazy as he tries to explain how she frequently hops on his sausage. After learning that Sheru has popped her cherry, Bafalapa nearly throws a fit, but he calms down and hopes Serato is alright. As the soldiers throw a party outside the tent, Sheru tells Bafalapa that Serato loves his heartbeat. At first, Bafalapa denies the possibility, but after examining Sheru's heartbeat, he tells him that his heart doesn't belong to him. Bafalapa reveals that it's fate that made Sheru meet Serato, so like a father handing his daughter out in marriage. He tells Sheru to take good care of her. Sheru then explains that he can't leave the tent since Namboo has him trapped. Bafalapa then hands him a potion, telling Sheru to drink it and think of Serato. Skeptical, Sheru thinks twice about gulping it, but Bafalapa urges him to drink it. The moment he takes it, his body glows, and he starts floating. Bafalapa then promises to meet Master Theo again. Confused, Sheru asks him what he's talking about, but he is instantly teleported to his friends. Surprised, they ask him what's going on, but he tells them to make a run for it and get away from the camp as far as possible. Moments later, Namboo enters the tent and sees Bafalapa tied to a chair. Once he learns Bafalapa frees him, he asks why, and the mad scientist tells him it's because of Serato. Rather than Namboo ending his life, he vows to have Bafalapa work gruelingly for him for the rest of his life. Namboo then asks him if Sheru will stay with Serato if he realizes what she truly is. The squad gets to a cave where they decide to camp for a while. Eren takes a look around and tells them it's a former magic stone quarry where they had tried to increase output too quickly, which resulted in them running out of stone and abandoning it. Sheru then briefs the team about everything that happened up till his encounter with Bafalapa, who helped him escape. To their surprise, Serato calls him her father, and it seems off because the old man is ugly. Sheru, on the other hand, seems pretty disturbed about the doctor's words since he wonders if Sheru's heart isn't his. He then recounts Zot protecting Sheru, and remembering that Sheru has the same symbol on the dragon's chest. In all, Sheru's hypothesis is that Barrow had switched Sheru's heart with Zot's, which was why it protected him back then. Again, there was the case of Sheru's partial transformation, where Sheru wiped out the soldiers, which could be said to have been caused by extreme rage and fear. Upon realizing that he can't carry out his revenge like he always wanted, Sheru storms off, frustrated. Sheru and Paloopa immediately go after him, and Eren also tries to tag along, but Tamit stops her, telling her not to pry into personal matters like this. In Namboo's castle, Sheru pets a monster, which she reveals was a present Namboo gave her. She orders the pet to continue searching for Sheru, and immediately, flying eyeballs pop out from its body to do her bidding. Outside the abandoned quarry, Sheru sulks while crouching, so Paloopa tries talking him out of it, but the boy doesn't reply. Seeing how difficult Sheru is, Paloopa experiences nostalgia, so he informs Sheru of how he used to crouch and sulk when he was little. Paloopa then reveals how Sheru developed the habit of researching magic ever since Sheru's parents died. Back then, he would train Sheru with a sword in the day and research magic in the night, which was because he wanted to find out the truth regarding the incident. Presently, Sheru apologizes for not finding anything so far, but he swears to Sheru that it's their duty to protect him. As if not listening to anything they said, Sheru gets all fired up and informs them of his stellar idea. He plans to get the Grand Troa and use it to switch back his heart so that he can enact vengeance on Zot. Hearing this makes Paloopa feel like a complete idiot for trying to cheer him up in the first place. Moments later, the party continues its journey without Eren, who has run off to heaven knows where. Tamit then asks Sheru to show off his dragon form, but Sheru tells him it's not for show, and it isn't something he can voluntarily control. Meanwhile, one of the eyeballs Sheru sent in search for them finds them and watches from afar. Sheru, realizing that they've been found, talks about going after them, but her guard advises her against it, saying Namboo had told her to stay put. Still, she refuses and believes that if she can capture Sheru, Namboo will finally grant her access to his premium sausage. By evening, the party arrives at a deserted town, and they notice claw marks around it. Upon spotting a well, Sheru has a flashback of his family being hanged there. Tamit then checks the well and finds it strange that it was attacked since it had long dried up. As the party checks the place out, Sheru sees his younger self crying for his parents. He then recalls how his parents were dragged by the ogres, who were angry at his father, a fellow ogre, for choosing to marry a human. They yelled at his father, calling him the reason why the humans attacked them. Sheru's mother pleaded with them to spare her husband. She called herself the cause of their problems. The men agreed with her on the latter, insisting that she was a freak, but they refused to let her husband go. As the men prepared to hang them, Sheru's father yelled at his son, telling him that a good hero never leaves a good deed undone. Presently, Tamit checks out one of the buildings, and he gets spooked after seeing a corpse. Suddenly, he hears a growl and sees a monster above. Sheru, on the other hand, stares into space as he recalls how Lord Barrow found him and took him in, and it was how he got to meet Sheru, the Lord's offspring. Suddenly, Tamit runs towards them, telling them to run away from the village because he has found the monster responsible for its destruction. Suddenly, they see the hideous creature, which belongs to Namboo, charging right at them. Sheru instinctively tries to draw his sword, but he grabs nothing, and as usual, Sheru saves him by parrying the monster. The others remind him that he's still recovering, but Sheru insists on ending the creature's pain. As the monster dashes at him, he swings his blade at it, but it doesn't connect. Instead, he's kicked away. Tamit then clings onto their last option, Sheru, yelling at him to go into his dragon form. Sheru yells like he's about to go Super Saiyan, but nothing happens. The creature homes in on the loser, but Sheru quickly cuts it just in time, sparing Sheru from being minced. Meanwhile, Eren, who has business with Namboo, meets with Sheru and easily convinces her to let her see Namboo. Her request is granted, so Eren privately reveals that Sheru has Zot's heart, which is why he can transform. Curious, Namboo asks her why she's telling him, so Eren informs him that she's an information broker. She demands her price, and he gives her an artifact called the Alshina. Namboo then tells Eren that he simply has to wait for Sheru to show up since he's after the Grand Troa. After Eren leaves, Namboo calls for Sheru and orders her to get rid of Sheru. Eren uses Mumu, the same transport service Paloopa used earlier, and returns to the wilderness. She recalls overhearing Namboo's instructions through the relic to Sheru to take Sheru down. While looking at the post station ahead, she wonders what the next step is. Sheru and the others arrive at Rikonau, the big post station on the side of the road. It's a place where many roads intersect, which means they can get a lot of items there. Upon learning about the place, Sheru demands Sheru find a blacksmith so he can get a new sword, but Sheru tells him they have to first sell the reptile they caught earlier for cash. Paloopa, who is against the idea of Sheru getting a sword, tells Sheru that they have a long way to go, so they must not exhaust their funds before they get to Namboo's lair, located at the land where wishes die. Hiro calls Palupa a miser and insists that he can't be cool if he doesn't have a sword. At this point, Tamit, who is already fed up with his repetitive bland act, whines about it, but Hiro believes he's cool. The party books an inn, and the ever-so-miserly Palupa minimizes their expenses. Later, Serato and Giru accompany Hiro to get his sword from the blacksmith. There, Hiro tries out big swords, but Giru tells them they are too large for him. He picks one slightly bigger than his older one, and Hiro gleefully accepts it. When they leave the blacksmith shop, Giru goes to shop for food items while Hiro and Serato walk behind him slowly. On the way, Serato spots a piece of jewelry shaped like the moon, so she stops to admire it. Upon seeing Serato with a guy, the jewelry seller then tries to take advantage of the moment by selling the piece at a very high price. Hiro, who doesn't know how to break it to Serato, stares in disbelief, but she notices his mood and tells him it's alright after all. He gave her a pretty pebble. Realizing that the couple is acting lovey-dovey with no chance of buying his goods, the jewelry seller shoos them. At the same time, Giru wraps up his shopping, so they all head for the inn. During that period, Eren visits the same blacksmith shop where Hiro had gotten his sword, and she sees an enchanted arrow. Even though the smith tells her he isn't giving her any discount, Eren buys 5 of the items. Later that night at the inn, Giru prepares dinner for them, and all but Serato happily dig into their meal. Tamit sees she hasn't touched hers, so he rudely asks for her food. Giru then starts a conversation, asking Hiro about the master Bafalapa had talked about, and Giru says he was Barrow's doctor. Palupa and Giru then wonder why Hiro has been tasked to meet Theo. To their surprise, Serato tells them she knows Theo, and he's her friend. Right on the spot, they all decide to look for him as soon as possible. As they leave for their rooms, Giru tells Tamit, who asks for their plans the following day, that he wants to take the day off. Tamit concludes that he's still recovering, but Giru tells him otherwise, and the reason he wants to take the day off is to strategize and figure out their next move. They head to their rooms, and shortly afterwards, Palupa and Tamit sleep off. Serato, who stays alone, stares at the gold coin Hiro had given her. As for Giru and Hiro, they also can't find sleep, so Hiro decides to ask him about why he acted weirdly at the ruined village. But Giru refuses to open up. Giru then asks him why he can't sleep, so Hiro tells him it's because there's a dragon inside of him. In the middle of the night, a mysterious shadow lurks around the town and attacks a cat. Minutes later, it moves around the town, destroying every building it touches. The explosions echo through the night, leaving Hiro and his crew outside wondering what the matter is. Hiro then charges into the town, so Giru runs after him. On getting there, they see a giant shadow absorbing the people and damaging buildings. Since it's the same way Zot makes its entrance, Hiro assumes it's his nemesis and charges at it, but Giru blocks his path. The sword master tries talking some sense into Hiro, but he ends up being caught by the shadow and sinks into it. Serato, who was warned not to follow them, disobeys after realizing the monster isn't Zot. With Giru's leg caught in the shadow, Sheru appears out of nowhere and reveals she's the mastermind behind the occurrence. The shadow monster was one of Bafalapa's creations after Namboo's orders, and it was used to bait Hiro. Meanwhile, Namboo has Bafalapa watch how the incident will proceed. He watches as Serato nearly gets wounded by exploding debris, but he's unable to do anything. Sheru finally gets her chance of revenge, so she points her thorn of spikes and tries using it to impale Hiro. But Hiro grabs it and resists with all his might. With no one able to help him, she successfully plunges it into his heart. Worried, Bafalapa cannot believe that Namboo is trying to stop Serato's future from coming to pass. He also realizes that Namboo eagerly wants to see how Zot will respond to its heart being poked. Immediately, the thorn sinks into Hiro, electrocutes him, and in the process he goes berserk. A giant red energy eloped the area, which terrifies Sheru, so she takes off and hides behind her subordinates. Giru, on the other hand, almost gets swallowed up by the shadow, but Eren helps him out by shooting one of the enchanted arrows at the shadow, causing the tendril to blow up. With him being freed, he dashes towards Hiro to stop him, but the boy, who's out of his mind, summons Zot. Blind with rage, he picks up his sword and cuts Giru down. The dragon then vanishes, leaving Hiro to see the aftermath of his anger. The rest of the team runs off to Giru, while Hiro breaks down and starts crying. The following day, Giru lies unconscious after he has been patched up at the inn. Hiro, who feels guilty for badly injuring him, is shocked when Giru wakes up. Upon seeing the sword master awake, the rest of the party are happy and relieved. Hiro then apologizes for cutting him, but Giru tells him it's fine, and it was because he had taken up his dragon form and lost control. Hiro asks Serato if she could heal Giru's wounds like she did his, but she tells him she can't. Troubled, Sheru tells Hiro about how troublesome the dragon form was, and if he keeps using it, someday he might get stuck in that form, and perhaps then he would be a dragon and never return. Before going back to sleep, he tells them he hopes Theo knows something about it. Later, Paloopa tries to buy some medicine from Mumu, but her exorbitant price nearly causes him to join Sheru in bed. He tries to haggle with her, but she tells him the ingredients used to produce the medicine are very rare and expensive, which is why the medicine can cure all kinds of wounds. Seeing that Mumu isn't ready to reduce her price, he dismisses her. Troubled, they consider taking him back to the healing springs in Linsakase, but change their mind because it's too far and they believe Sheru would die before they reach there. Aaron, an unexpected person, shows up and informs them where she can get the rare ingredients needed to produce the healing medicine. As Paloopa yells at her, wondering where the hell she's been, Hiro gets straight to the point, asking where he can find the medicine. She tells him Kuriru, a place that, if he's lucky enough, will cost him half a day. Immediately, Hiro bolts out of the inn, and Serato follows him. Irritated at Aaron's laid-back attitude, Tomit tells her Sheru is dying, and she replies that it's the reason she quickly showed up. In the lands where dreams die, Namboo receives a report about 2 out of the 3 countries spending a lot on acquiring his ammunition. Seeing that the 3rd country isn't ordering as much as he expects, he orders his underling to spread a rumor there about one of the other countries capturing Zot. With fragmented information, the 3rd country will panic and try to brace themselves for the dragon's wrath. Meanwhile, in a locked and heavily guarded room, Sheru pets her dog, telling it how worthless she feels because Namboo had pumped and dumped her. In the journey to find the rare ingredients, Hiro gets stressed, but Serato calms him, reassuring him that they'll find the medicine. Back in the inn, while Paloopa does their finances, Aaron changes Guru's towel a lot, but Guru's fever doesn't come down. Worried, Tomit then asks Paloopa if he's aware that Serato doesn't eat and Sheru always knows where they are, as if someone is telling her. Although he doesn't have proof for his claim, Tomit reminds them that Bafalapa works for Namboo, and Serato has some connection to him. Paloopa catches on but tells Tomit that there's no proof, and the best they can do is wait for Sheru to recover. Still not done, Tomit asks if they've seen Serato laugh because he sure as hell hasn't. Hiro and Serato eventually arrive at their destination. At first, Hiro tries to stop Serato from following him to the valleys because he isn't sure he can protect her, but she refuses, so he gives in. While searching for the herbs, they come across a giant horned toad. Quickly, Hiro draws out his blade and tries to protect Serato, but the toad leaps at them, so they run for it. As they try to lose its tail, they fall, and as if it can't get any worse, rain starts falling. Frustrated, Hiro laughs, but quickly gets up to look for the herbs. Upon spotting the herb, Serato points where it's at to him, so he dashes to climb the rock. Back at the inn, as they take tea, Aaron tells them that Sheru receives orders from Namboo, and she heard when he asked Sheru to take Hiro out. Shocked, they wonder how she managed to get such info, so Aaron shows them the Alshinga. Upon seeing the relic, Paloopa immediately understands how it works and tells Tomit that the artifact lets people communicate no matter how far apart they are. Paloopa then wonders why Namboo changed his mind from capturing Hiro to making sure he'd be dead. Aaron, who also had the same thoughts, concludes that Namboo might have wanted to see the relationship between Hiro and Zot. Aaron then explains why she had set up this important meeting. She briefs them on how Namboo has orchestrated his plans to lure Hiro to the land where wishes die, because he'll need the Grand Troa to avenge his parents. Lastly, Aaron informs them that the 3 countries, Amoria, Ishilfine, and Van Lotus, are being told a rumor that a certain country has captured Zot. Not too surprised, Paloopa remembers that Hiro had told them Namboo was a merchant whose ultimate goal was to profit from the chaos that he expected Zot to manifest. As Aaron talks about the looming war, she advises them to find a way to reach Namboo's lair, otherwise the conflict will prevent them from going, and with Mumu being so expensive, it will be a huge hindrance. Hiro, meanwhile, latches onto the herb with all his strength as the giant glowing turtle starts walking. At one point he falls off the shell, but climbs back up. After a lot of pulls, he successfully uproots the herb. As he jubilates, the turtle stops and Hiro is thrown off. The next time he opens his eyes, he realizes Serato is carrying him like a princess. He tells her he's got the herb, and she replies, smiling, that she's got him. Shocked to see her smile, he points it out, and she smiles again to prove it isn't a fluke. Hours later, they return to the inn, and after Guru consumes the medicine, he is instantly healed. He wakes up and thanks Hiro and Serato for their hard work. Paloopa then returns with dinner, but it's so bad that Guru decides he'll skip his. Tomit, who had been outside on a call, comes in looking depressed and informs them that the situation in his hometown isn't looking good because boys are no longer excluded from mining. Although his boys are fine, it's unfair. He asks Eren if there's going to be a war, and the news surprises Sheru and Giru. Determined, Tomit vows to get the Grand Troa. Seeing how moved he is, a tear streams down Sarato's cheek. The next day, the party continues their journey to find Theo. On the way, Tomit tells Palupa that he no longer suspects Serato, seeing how she cried last night. After walking for a while, Sheru informs Sheru of the mountain where Theo dwells. Skeptical, Sheru asks if they have to go, given the looming war, but Sheru insists they do, since Sheru needs to learn to control his dragon form. Out of the blue, Theo floats down from above, asking why they've come to visit without bringing gifts. To their surprise, Sheru and Palupa kneel before Theo and apologize before introducing themselves as Barrow's son's caretakers. Theo lets it slide, and as soon as he spots Serato, he goes to her, hugs her, rubs her head, and calls her his friend. Sheru, brimming with jealousy, is thrown off guard when he hears Serato casually speak to the old man. As the sage leads them to his mountain, they struggle to catch their breath due to how thin the air is. As they walk into the entrance, Theo recalls how his students always brought him gifts. Confused, Palupa asks him why Serato is not his friend, but he doesn't get a satisfactory answer. The adults immediately express their dislikes, but Palupa quickly cautions them, informing them that Theo is the most powerful magician on the continent. Inside, they brief Theo about Sheru's situation, so he shows them the imitation of the soul-destroying flames with the heat and fear turned to a minimum. After that, he explains what it is to them and how scary the original version is. After narrating what he heard about Zot's flames aftermath in Balbago, the sage says he doesn't have any advice for them regarding Sheru's case. Sheru first starts by speaking of his vengeance towards the dragon and how Zot's heart has made matters complicated. He then asks Theo why he didn't participate in the battle, believing that if he had, perhaps his parents might have lived. The sage then replies with whether one can stop a storm from blowing across the land. Sheru doesn't get the analogy at first, so Theo states that there's nothing that could have been done regarding Zot. The sage then tells Sheru to practice magic with him. Confused, Sheru calls himself a swordsman. Then Theo also calls himself a mage, thanks to Giru, who tells Sheru to obey because he might learn how to handle the dragon form. Sheru would have been stuck there with a huge question mark hovering over his head. As they are about to begin, Theo orders Giru to bring some meat, so he goes hunting. Similarly, he sends Tomit to get him some water, so Eren follows him to get a good look at the scenery. With a line drawn before Sheru, the sage asks Sheru to guess whether it's straight or crooked, so Sheru says it's twisty. He orders Sheru to take a step forward, and after Sheru does as he's told, the sage confirms that Sheru had walked straight forward. As if drunk with wine, the sage tells him that the path before Sheru is straight because man can only walk by taking one step at a time. Bewildered, Sheru wonders if the sage took the wrong kind of senzu beans, but Palupa eats up the whole training process. Next, Theo draws an image of Serato on a piece of paper, then he asks Sheru to guess who is on it. Sheru correctly guesses the person, and to his surprise, Theo tells him to crumble it. Right after doing that, the sage tells him to uncrumble it and crumble it again, somewhere else. Eren struggles to listen in on some conversations while using the artifact due to its bad reception, but she makes out a huge news item. The countries have started making preparations to go to war. After being amused, Theo tells Sheru to throw the piece of paper away. Serato, who had requested earlier to see the drawing, then asks again, so Sheru shows it to her. Seeing the two of them close by, Theo senses a connection. Sheru, who was tasked with hunting, successfully takes down a huge wolf and brings it back to the cave. Another time during training, Theo tells Sheru to pick a pebble and think of where he wants it to fall. After that, he should throw it there. Sheru does as he's told, and as the stone lands close to a nearby pebble, Theo senses some kind of magic energy. Then he asks Sheru if the pebble landed where he wanted, but Sheru denies it, as if whatever answer Sheru picks already has an answer. Theo tells him that it's not a problem because the place it falls on will be the place he decides. As if enlightened by such a word, Palupa engraves the same deep inside him. Frustrated, Sheru tells the sage that he can't keep up with his fooling, so Theo agrees and instructs Sheru to get his sword. Meanwhile, Sheru sulks in her room and doesn't listen to all the waffling from one of her subordinates, and she demands that she wants Namboo. Back on the mountain, Theo wields an invisible blade, which he demonstrates by using it to move an object farther from him. Impressed, Sheru appears fully interested, so Theo tells him the technique involves magic. After showing Sheru the stance to take, he tells Sheru to give it a trial. The boy draws his own invisible sword, but nothing happens, or so it seems. His attack nicks the object and cuts the rock right behind Theo. Time passes and Sheru continues his fake sword training and other peripherals. On one particular night, Theo discusses privately with Guru, noting that Sheru is useless with the sword. He immediately deciphers Guru's plan, believing that for the past 10 years, Sheru hadn't improved, and Guru couldn't tell what was wrong. He concludes, believing Guru must have forced the way of the sword on Sheru to prevent him from considering using magic. With that, Theo informs Guru of how Sheru has a rare talent for magic and a surprising amount of power that no normal human should be able to bear. The sage then tells Guru what had happened when Sheru tried to wield an invisible blade. Sheru, back then, had launched an attack that dodged the object it was sent to and pierced Theo without being conscious. But thanks to the geezer's defensive magic, it would have looked like he was playing pretend. Finally, he commends Sheru for training Sheru in the way of the sword, because it helped Sheru avoid his destructive power. At the land where wishes die, Namboo eventually requests Sheru, so light returns to her eyes. On the training ground, Sheru finally loses his cool and decides he's quitting training. Just as he's about to walk away, Theo tells him to take the graduation exam, which involves launching an attack at him with the invisible blade. With nothing to lose, Sheru takes the exam and he draws his stance. Right after, Serato praises him, and Theo acts like he's been cut. Pissed, Sheru turns around, thinking everything was a sham till the very end, so he thanks Theo for his help so far. After the party leaves, Theo notes that Sheru has sent an attack so strong it broke his defensive barrier, and to top it off, Sheru only used a fraction of his powers. They arrive at the desert, which Eren calls the last place before they reach the land where wishes die. Eren shows them that it'll take a month for them to go around the desert, so Sheru, who has run out of patience, charges through. As a result, he trips, and a huge bird tries to attack him out of the blue. Thankfully, Sheru parries it off, and Tamit brings up the topic of how Namboo knows exactly where they are. Suddenly, they hear Namboo's voice on the Alshina, trying to confirm if Eren is still on the call with him. That's when it dawns on them that she's the snitch. Seconds later, Eren picks up her device while Palupa pressures her to speak, and she admits that she is an information broker, a term that means nothing to Palupa, who only wants to know if she sold them out. When Sheru confronts her, Eren confesses that she did and even made money from it, which makes him furious, though he controls his anger enough to spare her life. With her betrayal exposed, Sheru and the rest of the team abandon her in the desert, leaving her to navigate alone even though she knows the shortest route to Namboo's location. Back at Namboo's domain, Sheru prepares to merge with her pet, following the same process humans had used with the orcs days earlier. A guard pleads with her not to go through with it, but she dismisses his concerns, saying that as long as she gets to do Namboo's wishes, she's fine. She instructs the doctor to begin the procedure, leaving him in shock. Meanwhile, Sheru and his team trudge through the scorching desert, and although the heat clearly bothers him, he presses on, aware that their journey cannot stop. Elsewhere, one of the continent's countries prepares for war, convinced that the other two have united to use Zot against them. As night falls, Sheru, Palupa, and the others gather around a campfire to keep warm, leaving Tamit to marvel at how the desert can be sweltering by day and freezing by night. The next day, another country on the continent prepares for war, convinced that the other two have allied to use Zot against them. Later on, Sheru grows increasingly thirsty, while Palupa tries to reach a vantage point but falls into a sand pit where a crab-like monster waits at the bottom. Sheru and the others struggle to pull him out, but their efforts fail until Eren arrives at the last moment. She tosses a stick tied to a rope for him to grab. As soon as he latches onto it, they pull Palupa out, saving him from the monster. Despite rescuing him, the rest of them do not open up to her, and they tell her not to talk to them. Still, Eren warns them that continuing in their current direction could mean death for all of them. Elsewhere, the third country also prepares for war after their king confirms that their enemies have joined forces. Back in the desert, a sudden sandstorm scatters the team across the dunes. When Palupa gets up, he finds Eren with him, which enrages him even more after everything that has happened. Eren tells him it's best they head for an oasis, but he asks about the others. Already used to her laid-back attitude, Palupa assumes Eren doesn't care about others and that she is very self-centered. Sheru, meanwhile, discovers Tamit lying unconscious and wonders where Sheru might be, while Sheru and Serato search desperately for an oasis to quench their thirst as the desert stretches endlessly around them. At sunset, Palupa walks with Eren to a certain point and tries to catch his breath, so she offers to help him with his bag. adamant. He calls her a blabbermouth and vows not to let her touch his things. Eren then explains that she simply sells information to people who buy it at a high price, and it was thanks to that she managed to get close to Namboo. She reveals that she was planning on grabbing the Grand Troa when she had a chance, but the crazy merchant saw through her. Paloopa, who can barely make out what Eren is saying, collapses from intense dehydration. Meanwhile, Hero shivers that night due to the extreme cold of the desert, which has Sarado very worried. The following morning, Paloopa sees an insect gathering water droplets, and he tries to mimic it. But Eren bursts his bubble by telling him that it's only possible due to their low body temperature. With that, he continues his journey with Eren, while Hero remains lying down, too weak from thirst to move. Seeing this, Sarado senses the water in the atmosphere. Moments later, Sheru, carrying Tamit on his back, catches up with Paloopa and Eren. Eren tells him she's heading for the oasis, and although skeptical, he decides to follow her since her life on the line. Sarado removes her plot armor, and thanks to her very low body temperature, she does the legendary Corolla pose and, in a short time, accumulates water drops before delivering them to Hero, who immediately awakens. Little do they know that Namboo's watchbird is observing them. After walking for a while, Paloopa and the others arrive at the oasis. With the little strength they have left, they dive into it and feel refreshed. By midday, Hero and Sarado resume their journey to rejoin the team, but Sheru, who had spotted them earlier through the bird, shows up in her new mutated body. She easily knocks Sarado to the ground and teleports with Hero straight to Namboo's lair. Hours later, soldiers from all three countries gather at key points, preparing for war, and it becomes clear that Namboo's plan is succeeding. As the continent teeters on the brink of conflict, weak and seated in a chair, Hero watches as Namboo enters the room, fully aware that Hero possesses Zot's heart, making him a valuable asset for his schemes. Namboo intends to unleash disaster across the continent to achieve his goals, but Hero refuses to accept it. And with determination, he takes up his sword to face Namboo in battle. As usual, Namboo teases Hero by saying he should go easy on him. Their battle begins and ends almost instantly, with Namboo clearly more skilled, holding his sword to Hero's neck, almost mirroring their earlier fight in the wilderness. Nambuko then speaks of the night when Lord Barrow tried to defeat Zot, revealing he was the one who had shot Lord Barrow in the back, preventing him from successfully erecting a barrier around Zot. The realization sets in, and Hero's anger erupts towards Namboo, and he notes that the merchant isn't just someone he must stop, but a person he must enact vengeance upon. Still on the topic, Namboo reveals that he survived Zot's flames only because he protected himself with the Grand Troa, and at that moment, he had admired the flames and craved them. In the present, Namboo makes it clear that he has no intention of killing Hero because he needs Hero's heart to control Zot. Elsewhere, Sheru, Paloopa, and Tamit search desperately for Hero, and Eren uses her device to track his possible direction. As they cover some distance, they see Sarado banging a large metal object. At first, Paloopa thinks the heat has gotten to her, but Sheru notes that the high-pitched sound she's making will lure a dragon. Speaking of the devil, a massive red dragon shows up and swoops down at her like it wants to devour her. When the red dragon shows up, it stuffs Sarado in its big mouth, leaving Sheru and the others in shock. Yet after some time, Sarado comes out unharmed and tells the team that the dragon has agreed to give them a lift. By now, Sheru holds a weapon, ready to strike the dragon, but since the dragon is friendly, he lowers it after hearing Sarado speak. Paloopa then recalls how she casually pulled up in a sand dragon when they first met. After assuring them that the lizard won't bite, everyone hops on it, and they soon set off, clinging to the hideous creature as it soars through the air. Back at Namboo's domain, Dr. Bafalapa prepares a massive magical reactor to power Namboo's plans, knowing that the amount of energy required will consume the building, yet seeing it as a necessary sacrifice to obtain Zot. Meanwhile, the sensors detect movement on the radar, revealing that Sheru and the others have arrived at Namboo's domain, but as they approach, the red dragon is struck while in midair. Even so, Sheru and the team hide within the building's walls, searching for a way inside. During their search, the doctor appears seeking Sarado, and once he finds her, he begins teleportation magic, though Sheru and the others join him before he leaves. While in the building, the doctor's excitement at seeing Sarado again becomes obvious, and the way he behaves makes Paloopa and the others realize that he is her father. Sheru, however, finds it hard to believe that the doctor could father someone as beautiful as Sarado, which prompts Paloopa to ask her what she truly is. She responds that she was made at Namboo's orders, and the doctor confirms this, adding that Sarado is a doll he created, leaving Paloopa and the others completely shocked. Even after all that, Palupa grows curious and questions why Serato was created. The doctor gives them a history lesson on what happened in the past. He explains that Namboo was present when Lord Barrow attempted to defeat Zot. As he speaks, Giru objects, pointing out that he is the only one who survived that incident with Hero, but the doctor interrupts him, saying that Namboo survived by using a dragon blood crystal. According to him, the said crystal is made from the blood that drips from Zot's wounds and protects one from the soul-destroying flames emitted by Zot. He continues to reveal that he was tasked with creating the ultimate soldier using these crystals, and after completing the task, Namboo had ordered that Serato be destroyed because of her beauty, yet he refused and allowed her to escape instead. At one point, Sheru points out that Hero possesses Zot's heart. Upon hearing this, the doctor realizes why Serato was drawn to Hero's heart, since she has none of her own. Yet, he still wishes for Serato to leave Hero alone because Namboo is close to summoning Zot and will want to use her during the hour of the ultimate dragon, the moment when Zot appears. Serato, however, declines her father's wishes and sets off to find Hero, determined to act on her own. After Serato leaves, the doctor begs Sheru, Palupa, and the others to take care of her because she is his daughter. After that, both Sheru and Palupa wander deeper into the building, searching for Hero, and at some point, they come across the large magical reactor and wonder what it could be. Suddenly, Namboo appears with Sheru, who holds a blade to Hero's neck, intending to take Serato and use her alongside Hero to achieve his plans. Because Hero's life is at risk, Serato reluctantly agrees to join Namboo, and after meeting him, Sheru teleports them both to Balbago, the same place where Lord Barrow died. Seconds later, Sheru is attacked by Sheru, but she laughs, knowing that Namboo is gone. At Balbago, the hour of the ultimate dragon approaches, and the sun turns red. While Sheru explains that Namboo intends to use the remaining magic from his domain to fuse all the soldiers from the different countries, which leaves Sheru stunned because it means a far greater evil will be born into the world. Within seconds, the entire building begins to close itself up as the magic flows toward Balbago. Right after it seals, a message from Namboo appears, declaring that everyone inside will have their souls turned into magic. Everyone is shocked after hearing the message because they never anticipated such a move, but Sheru finds it hard to believe that Namboo, who she's been simping on for years, would leave her for dead. When she attempts to teleport away from the building, she fails because of a disruptive spell and screams in frustration. At Balbago, the doctor opposes Namboo because Serato's life is at risk, but Namboo lands a powerful attack on him, leaving him in critical condition. He then uses compulsion magic to bend Serato to his will and lightly stabs her in the chest, forcing her to revert to an attack mode. While under Namboo's spell, she attacks Hero the moment she receives his order and continues to land brutal strikes on him. Back at Namboo's domain, the building gradually collapses as its energy is absorbed to fuel his plan, and Sheru comes up with an idea that leads Palupa to summon Mumu for help. At first, Mumu claims she cannot assist, but after Palupa and the others contribute a massive amount of money as payment, she agrees to help. Afterward, Sheru tells Sheru that she will carry them to Balbago once they escape, and she accepts on the condition that Sheru will leave Namboo for her to handle. Miles away, Hero, who has already taken significant damage from Serato, morphs into his dragon form and dives to attack her. But at the same time, Sheru emerges from a portal with the others and yells his name. After Sheru arrives at Balbago, she attacks Sheru, and it becomes clear that she is under Namboo's control, while Hero launches several attacks on Serato, trying to strike her but failing to deal any damage. Serato fights back, following Namboo's orders, and inflicts heavy damage on Hero, eventually striking him in a way that puts Dagon Zot's heart at risk, causing the dragon to reveal himself, which excites Namboo and drives him to jumpstart a massive machine. Once the machine goes live, he grabs the Grand Troa and activates it to fuse with Dagon Zot, an act that defies his original plan, which leaves Sheru and the others in shock. Sheru tries to stop him, but she gets blown away by the magic force. Although the fusion consumes an enormous amount of magical energy, it succeeds in the end. After becoming one with the dragon, Namboo proves nearly invincible, and Hero attacks Kiss, but fails to harm him. Instead, he gets mollyhopped mercilessly. Amid the pain, Hero recalls what his parents had told him when he was young, reminding him of the task he still needs to fulfill. And with that memory, he regains his composure mid-air and frees himself from Namboo's grip. Though as soon as he lands on the ground, Namboo seizes him again and continues to beat him without mercy, calling him weak. In the meantime, Tamit and Aaron seize the doctor and threaten him to do something about Namboo, and the doctor points toward the Grand Troa, explaining that if it is taken away, Namboo will lose his supply of magic. Serato wakes up and sees Namboo folding Sheru like laundry. Eren then heads off with Tamit to deactivate the device to prevent Namboo from using the soul-consuming flames, but they are running out of time and are at risk of death if they fail to shut it down. At last, Eren and the others manage to shut down the device and take the Grand Troa, and it stops Namboo from waffling about the fusion's success. Unfortunately for them, he does not lose his powers and instead threatens to annihilate Sheru and the others with the soul-consuming flames. He fires the deadly flames on them all, which not only destroys their surroundings, but also affects the soldiers beneath them. Witnessing the obliteration, he laughs at the level of the flames, but to his utmost surprise, he sees that they are all fine, which is due to Serato's powers. Quickly, he rips out the dragon blood crystal from her chest while saying it was a mistake to leave her with it. Since the crystal powers her body, she falls unconscious to the ground after he takes it away, and Serato's unresponsive condition drives Sheru into a rage. Namboo, who isn't ready to risk any chances, responds by shattering the crystal. Immediately, Sheru screams, and in his fury, he slices off Namboo's arm. He then yells at Namboo, vowing the latter will pay for not only his parents' death, but also Serato's. Shocked that Sheru's attack worked on him, Namboo asks Sheru who he is, and for the first time in a while, Sheru calls himself a wandering swordsman. Right after, Sheru uses all his strength to land a powerful attack on him, stabbing him in the process. As Namboo falls to the ground, his form collapses. In tears, runs to pick Serato, but she doesn't respond. While mourning her, Dedan Zot reappears from beneath, and Sheru, who realizes that he doesn't have the power to take on his nemesis, begins to consider unaliving himself in order to unalive Dedan Zot, since he possesses the dragon's heart. Just before stabbing himself, Sheru recalls the invisible sword technique taught to him by Theo, so he yells at Tamit to pass him the Grand Troa. Once he obtains the treasure, he takes the same sword stance and summons a glowing blade from it. He then lands a devastating strike on Dedan Zot's chest, ripping it open for his human heart to come out. Sheru tells him to switch the hearts quickly, and Sheru considers it, but then, he takes the heart from Dedan Zot and inserts it into Serato, bringing her back to life. Watching the love of his life stare back at him, Sheru smiles and the dragon fades away, and his passing restores the atmosphere to its natural state. Meanwhile, Palupa and the others struggle over who will claim the Grand Troa, but the device falls and shatters on the ground, and Sheru reveals that he always knew the device was not the Grand Troa, but rather Lord Barrow's sealing device. Confused, the others ask Sheru how Sheru had used magic, and Sheru informs them of the time when Theo said Sheru has a very high magic aptitude. The boy weeps joyfully upon confirming that Serato is alive, but quickly cleans his face while trying to act normal. Eren then teases him, saying he's the hero who saved the world. Serato immediately asks for Bafalapa, and regretfully, Palupa hands her his stick before revealing that he has risked his life to save her. Hearing of his death makes Serato cry, which once again proves her humanity. As for the soldiers from the three countries, they turn back and return to their homelands, realizing that fighting further is pointless. Soon, Mumu appears, excited that Palupa and the others survived, yet she immediately demands the rest of her payment. At the same time, some soldiers encounter Sheru, and one of them, clearly relieved that she is safe, compliments her appearance, which stops her from crying. The following day, Sheru gifts Tamit his dragon crest, and when Tamit mentions returning to Linsakais, Palupa interrupts, pointing out that they don't have any money to fund the trip. Meanwhile, Sheru is eager and hyped to train with his sword alongside Sheru, ready to continue sharpening his skills. That's the end of today's video. If you stayed until now, comment down below Sweet Milkers, and leave a like if you want another recap like this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out the next video. It might just be your new favorite anime recap.